in that derived class. Clear how access control is provided to the members in the derived classes with the help of this word. If it is private, if it is protected, or if it is public. Clear? Now, putting them together. Suppose we take an example again with the help of time and exit time classes. Time is which class? It is base class. And ext time is which class? It's derived class. What ext time can use? It can use the members and the methods that is defined in base class, but it actually depends upon the access control mode, that is private, public or protected. Now, time is the base class, ext time is the derived class with public inheritance. If we declare it as public, then what it can use? The derived class can inherit all members from the base class except the constructors. Note down this concept. If the inherited or the derived class is having a property public, then it can inherit all members from the base class except the constructors. Constructors are what? We have already done that. For initialization we use a same member function with the same name as a class name. Then access all public and protected members of the base class. Clear? If we declare the property as a public of derived class, then it can access all public and protected members of the base class, define its private data members, provide its own constructors, define its public member functions, and override functions inherited from the base class. These are the main functions that a derived class can perform if it is derived from the base class. I repeat what it can do. It inherit all the members from the base class except the constructors. Access all public and protected members of the base class. Define its own private data members. Provides its own constructors. Define its public member functions. Override functions inherited from the base class. Clear what an derived class can do? Now, inheritance. The inheritance allows subclasses to inherit all the properties, means the variables and the methods of their parent classes. The different forms of inheritance are what? One is a single inheritance that we have just done, only one superclass is there. Multiple inheritance means several superclasses, means from 2 or 3 or more classes we can derive a single class, means having two parent classes and one child class. Hierarchical inheritance that we have already seen in our last slide. Hierarchical inheritance, one superclass and many subclasses. Multi-level inheritance, same like this, multi-levels are there, derived from many derived classes. And hybrid inheritance means more than two types, means whenever we mix two types of inheritance, that may be single, multiple or hierarchical or multi-level, then it forms a hybrid inheritance. Then multi-path inheritance means inheritance of some properties from two sources. Clear what are the main types of inheritance? Single inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hybrid inheritance and multi-path inheritance. Now, a direct base class is the base class from which a derived class explicitly inherits, and an indirect base class is inherited from two or more levels up in the class hierarchy. And the single inheritance, a class is derived from one base class, and with multiple inheritance a derived class inherits from multiple base classes. This will be all clear to you from this diagram. Forms of inheritance. One is, I already just told you what is single inheritance, when a single class is derived from a single base class. This is called as a single inheritance. Now, draw this diagram on your notebooks. Single inheritance means when we derive a single class from single base class. Multiple inheritance means whenever you deriving a single class from two base classes, means two parent classes are there and one child class is there, then it forms a multiple inheritance. Now, hierarchical inheritance means a tree like structure, one base class and having different derived classes. One base class and having many derived classes, that forms hierarchical inheritance. Multi-level inheritance means having many levels in that. First level, second level, third level means one class is derived from another class and same one is derived from that derived class. Hybrid inheritance means I already told you that whenever we mix two types of inheritance in this is mixing sing. Tell me what is this? Which type of inheritance is this? This is single inheritance, and this is what? This is multiple inheritance, means we are combining two inheritance in a single class, that is single inheritance or multiple inheritance, that forms what? Hybrid inheritance. Now next is a multi-path inheritance, means look at this forms a cycle, and again a class is derived from this B and C. This forms multi-path inheritance, means having multiple paths in the same program. Clear what are the forms of inheritance? That is single inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multi-level, hybrid and multi-path. How can you declare? You know the syntax and you can derive the class from the base class with having a property that can be private, public or protected. Now you can use this example for the same. I just told you again with the example. Suppose you are creating a class mother having three sections in it: private, public and protected, and having some variables in that. And from this mother you declare class daughter. You are driving a class daughter from this mother, mean you can have any property in that: protected, public or private mod. And then the syntax for this is, then write the name of the base class and again the section or the data of this daughter class. Clear? You are driving a class from the base class. Now this base class is having this function. I am showing in this function scope resolution operator, means the another concept is defining here in this program that you can define the body of the function outside the class with the help of this scope resolution operator. The body of the same function, that is DFOO, can be defined in the same program, in the same class, or if you are closing the class with the help of semicolon and after that you are defining the body, the definition of the class of the function, then with the help of this scope resolution operator you can access the function, member function. You can define the member function of the class outside that class. Clear? Now again you are driving again another class granddaughter from this daughter class, having a public section in it and having its own data. Here what we are using, suppose we name in this class as A and this class as B and this class as C. Clear? Here we can define private, protected or public data. So I have written here class C. Now what are you using? You are using this multi-level inheritance. Clear? A, B, C. B is derived from A and C is derived from B. Now suppose I told you to make this multiple inheritance, then what you have to do? You have to simply declare mother and daughter to different classes and you can derive a single class granddaughter with two same base classes with the help of comma in it. Clear? Simply you can define, you can use any type of inheritance in your program with the help of these derivations. I think it should be clear now what is the type of inheritance, how you can implement this in your programming language, what is the syntax. Here you can define your data, here it's your data, how we can define a member function outside of the class with the help of this scope resolution operator. This can be anything in it. Clear? Now multiple inheritance, what is actually? It is derived class with two or more base classes. Now for example, student class in C++, how can you write, how can you implement two base classes, two derived classes from this main from this class student. You are driving a class student with having two sections in it, that is public person comma public any class name another. This can be anything. Clear? Now here you are driving a new class student having two base classes, that is person or this is your guardian or your teacher, can anything. Here you can define any class and the properties of that classes is public and public. The syntax of creating a multiple inheritance is that here the derived name class of the name of the derived class, Here two base classes are there, 1 and 2, and with the properties of the vision of that classes. Clear? Now constructor rules for derived classes. The default constructor and the destructor of the base class are always called when a new object of a derived class is created or destroyed. This is the automatic thing. Whenever you declare an object of the derived class, and the constructor of the derived and the base class is automatically called whenever you have declared or you haven't declared it. I repeat, the default constructor and the destructor of the base class are always called when a new object of a derived class is created or destroyed. Now again look at this example. You have declared class A and class B. Class B is inherited from class A, and this is having constructors. Constructor is what? That is having a same name, a function having same name with the class name. Here you are defining two constructor with one argument and with having, this is a default constructor. Clear? Now this is a public, you are driving again B class from A class and having public section, and again declaring its constructor with having some parameter, some argument in it, and displaying B. What will it do? It will display, if you declare the object of the base class, that is test. Suppose you are declaring an object of the base class, that is test, by having name of the class B, B test, and having argument 1, then what it will display? It will display default constructor, the value of the public section of that base class. Is it clear? Whenever you declare the object of the base class of derived class, then the default constructor of the base class is automatically executed. Clear the concept? Whenever you are declaring the object of this class, but the constructor of this class is not executing, it is executing the default constructor. After that, the default constructor of this class B is executing, the value B is displaying here. First of all, A default is displaying, and then the value B. Means whenever you declare an object of the derived class, first of all the constructor, default constructor of the base class is executed, and the constructor, this is not a default constructor, and the constructor of derived class is executed after that. Clear the difference? Now constructor rules again. You can also specify an constructor of the base class rather than the default constructor, like this. This was not the default constructor. You can define your own constructor by having different arguments in it. Same I have written the example. Now again, you have declared class A, class C, and publicized the class A properties and having constructors in it, and same like the output. How you declare? You again declare a argument of object of class C, and it is executing what? It is executing this default, not default, specified constructor, and then again the constructor of this class derived. Clear? Now define its own members. The derived class can also define its own members in addition to the members inherited from the base class. Till now we have discussed how a derived class can access the properties of the base class. Now we can also define the own properties of the derived class. Means that whenever, suppose here you are driving a class circle, we already taken this example. Circle is derived from point class, and this point class can have its own functions or methods, and this circle class can use the members or functions that is defined in this class, and can have its own data in it. Clear this point? The derived class can also define its own members in addition to the members inherited from the base class. Clear? Every base class can use the concepts defined in the any derived class, sorry, can use the concept defined in the base class, and can have its own members or methods in it. With the help of this example, you are watching a class point having its own section as a x and y variable there, and the extra r variable can be declared as the own member of this class circle. Means it can have now 3 members, x, y, and r. Clear? Now even more, a derived class can override methods defined at its parent class. With overriding, what we can do is the method in the subclass has the identical signature to the method in the base class, and a subclass implements its own version of a base class method. Look at this concept. With overriding, you can use a same function name in the derived class and the base class. Clear how overriding can be used? The method in the subclass has the identical signature to the method in the base class, and a subclass implements its own version of a base class method. This concept is showing the overriding concept in inheritance. Clear? Which is having the method in the subclass has the identical signature to the method in the base class. Now access a method. How you can access the methods? That is class point, again having its own section and functions. Class circle, that is again defined as a derived class from the class circle and having its own data and functions. Here you are declaring again overriding concept is there. Set having some values in it, and point and having some again own functions, and the call of the function is there, and the declaration is there, and again a function call is there. Now what will it do? If you declare a point A, means you are declaring the object of class base class, then what, and passing some values in it, that is set 30 and 50, and the value of 30 50 will be passed to this A and B, and xy will be what, that will be 30 and 50, and we call print section in it. Then what will happen, again circle C, we define again the values, means that we can declare the object of the base class and the derived class. Whenever we declare the object of the derived class, it can use the methods and functions. With the help of that object, we can access the members or functions that is defined in the base class, but the object of the base class cannot access the functions of the derived class. Clear? Now again we take an example of class time that we have already done. Class time, again having some sections in it, having some values in protected mode. Constructors are declared with the same name as the class name, and this is the main design diagram what we have in the time class, having these are the functions and these are the variables that we have defined. Here 5 functions are there. One is set, increment and write, and 2 constructors with the same name having different arguments in it. Clear? And this is the data, that is hours, minutes and section. And again we derived a class, that is ext time, from this public in public mode with from this time class, and having its own functions and data, and declared in this diagram. This is own data of ext time and is using the data defined in it in the base class. This is ext time data, this is time data, means this ext time class can access the member and functions of the base class and its own class and having its own variables. Now how can you define the function definition outside the class? That is, the syntax is with the help of scope resolution operator. Now you define some, declare some value like this, zone is equal to east est. Now what it will actually it will do, ext is the same name as the class name, it is a constructor, means we are initializing something, it will automatically initialize the values to the variables as 0, and zone is equal to est in your ext time class. And again another constructor we have declared with having some values, and you can pass the values to the constructor while creating an object for the same. Clear? Here we are using a pointer for that object, and what will it do? It will store the address of the address location of the variables that is defined as 8, 30, 0 and est. Clear how a constructor is called? Having some different arguments in it with the pointer, with the help of a pointer to that object, means it will store the address of the location where these variables are stored. Now again you are using your own code, your own data in your program. You can define these all functions in your main body by having passing these values to the, you can call the functions in your main program by calling the values and the functions in your main body. This was about inheritance classes, and that you have done the constructors, and Inheritance is a mechanism for defining new class type to be a specialization or an augmentation of existing types. In principle, you can say every member of a base class is inherited by a derived class with different access permissions except for the constructors only. This was about inheritance. Thank you very much.